An American soldier stars in a Taliban propaganda video one last time, while the White House clarifies its characterization of his service. This is Special Report. Good evening, I'm Brett Baer, coming to you tonight live from Chicago. We'll go in depth on a couple of big political races here in the land of Lincoln a little later. But first, the growing uproar over the prisoner swap that sent an American soldier back home from a Taliban-controlled part of Afghanistan. It is polarizing the American public. 45% approve in our new Fox News poll of this move. 47% disapprove. We have Fox team coverage tonight on the Soldier for 5 Taliban leaders deal. Ed Henry is live in Brussels, where President Obama's European tour is being hijacked by this controversy. But we begin at the Pentagon tonight with national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin and reaction to the Taliban video of Bo Bergdahl's handover. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Brett. It's not unusual for the Taliban to videotape moments such as this and turn them into propaganda for their followers, painting this prisoner exchange as a victory, to quote their leader, Mullah Omar.
In the video released by the Taliban, Sergeant Bo Bergdahl blinks rapidly as his captor approaches his vehicle to say goodbye. His eyes appear to be adjusting to sunlight, suggesting he was blindfolded moments before. The 17-minute video shows a Taliban fighter holding a white flag as they approach a Black Hawk helicopter. The U.S. team shake hands with the Taliban during the handover. As they turn to leave, they pat Bergdahl down to make sure he is not armed or wearing a suicide bomber's vest. Before he is handed over, a member of the Taliban is heard telling Bergdahl in Pashto, "Don't come back to Afghanistan." Another then laughed, "You won't make it out alive next time." A now classified internal Army investigation in 2010 says Bergdahl had walked off his base at least once before his capture out of boredom, according to members of his unit interviewed at the time by military investigators. Those unit members are now describing what they learned in those initial days of their search.
We heard over the radio chatter that there was an American looking for someone who spoke English so he could talk to the Taliban. We knew at that point he had already walked away, but now we knew that he was attempting to contact the Taliban on his own accord.
Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel responded to accusations that soldiers were killed looking for Bergdahl.
I do not know of specific circumstances or details of U.S. soldiers dying as a result of efforts to find and rescue Sergeant Bergdahl.
U.S. officials have defended their decision to fast-track a prisoner exchange.
The fact that his health was deteriorating, it was the right thing to do to take action to secure his release.
Pentagon officials who have seen the proof-of-life videos intercepted in January say those videos showed Bergdahl to be in declining health, but medical experts question that.
Looking at the latest video of Bo Bergdahl, I can say with medical certainty, as a practicing physician, that he appears to be in excellent health right now without signs that he's malnourished.
Bergdahl was pronounced by military doctors to be in stable condition shortly after arriving at Landstuhl, Germany. Bergdahl still has not talked to his parents, but Secretary Hagel called them earlier today, Brett.
Jennifer Griffin live at the Pentagon. Jennifer, thank you. President Obama is not making the kind of news he expected on his European tour. It has so far been dominated by this prisoner swap story, which could turn out to be the result of a huge political miscalculation. And the White House is trying to explain what National Security Advisor Susan Rice really meant on a Sunday talk show when she praised Sergeant Bergdahl's military service. Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry is traveling with the president tonight in Brussels, Belgium.
This was supposed to be a sweet day for President Obama, meeting a candy magnate who's become president-elect of Ukraine, known as the Willy Wonka of an aspiring nation, followed by a rousing speech in Poland honoring the 25th anniversary of Solidarity.
Today we reaffirm the principles for which we stand.
Instead, the president is still dogged by allegations that he abused his power by swapping 5 Taliban commanders for Bo Bergdahl, with Republican Lindsey Graham charging the president wanted a twofer, announce an end to the war in Afghanistan, and then go to the Rose Garden to tout a public relations win.
That was thought in their mind, I think, to be a pretty good political story for that week. It blew up in their face.
Top aides sharply deny that, saying the administration was motivated by getting an American home, and it's unseemly for Republicans to slam a soldier.
using what should be a moment of unity and celebration of our nation as a chance to play political games.
Top officials also say the president stands by the decision on the merits, even though he knew it would be controversial. And controversial it is, with a new Fox poll showing fully 84% of voters are concerned that making deals with terrorists will encourage those groups to take more American soldiers hostage, including a 57% majority that is very concerned and another 27% that's somewhat concerned. And by a decisive 20 percentage point margin, Americans think the country is weaker under the president's leadership. 55% of voters say the administration has made America weaker. 35% say the country is stronger. The president is also taking on water from allies of Hillary Clinton, who leaked a story to the Daily Beast revealing the former Secretary of State, who had negotiated the prisoner swap at earlier stages, was deeply skeptical it could be enforced, though in public she's being diplomatic.
That's why I named my book Hard Choices.
Meanwhile, the administration is trying to clean up National Security Advisor Susan Rice's latest slip-up on a Sunday show when she told ABC News Bergdahl had served with honor and distinction. An official telling Fox Rice meant Bergdahl had volunteered for service and had endured 5 years of captivity and was not trying to characterize the circumstances of his capture.
Either she doesn't know her facts or she doesn't know how to string together accurate sentences. But she's creating huge headaches for the administration.
Former Secretary Clinton is also clarifying tonight, a spokesman telling Fox that she never rejected a prison swap deal, but set a high bar for the terms of such a deal. Brett?
Ed Henry live in Belgium. Ed, thank you. The family of a Western couple that went missing in Afghanistan 2 years ago has released a video purportedly from their Taliban captors. The images were emailed to Caitlin Coleman's father last summer. Relatives say they are disappointed their children and baby grandchild were not freed as part of the deal that freed American soldier Bo Bergdahl. They say they have received no ransom demands. Half of those surveyed in that new Fox News poll say detainees at Guantanamo Bay get better health care than U.S. military veterans. Only 3 in 10 disagree. Now to politics. It appears we will have to wait a little longer to find out who wins the hotly contested Senate primary in Mississippi. Senior national correspondent John Roberts is live again tonight in Jackson to tell us where we stand right now.
It was a sharp contrast in optics. Insurgent candidate Chris McDaniel before a tumultuous crowd in Hattiesburg.
This is a historic moment in this state's history.
While in Jackson, Senator Thad Cochran didn't even show up to thank his supporters.
I want you to know how appreciative Senator Cochran is for your support.
The picture reinforced the message McDaniel has been driving, that after 41 years in Washington, Cochran is absent and out of touch with Mississippi.
He has not stood up to Barack Obama or the liberal agenda. He's been silent for far too long. They know I will not be silent. They know I'll fight. They know I have courage to do so. And that's why they turned out for me last night.
The Senate race has been a showdown between the Republican establishment and Tea Party and grassroots conservatives who see Mississippi as their last best chance to knock off a powerful incumbent.
The people who are in Washington who said they want to crush us, punch us in the nose, the establishment, no, we're the American people. It's time for them to respect us.
If the primary was nasty, the runoff could be downright bloody. The Cochran campaign wants to bury McDaniel.
It just gets worse.
Promising more attacks over pictures of Senator Cochran's wife in a nursing home that were posted on the internet by McDaniel supporters who were later arrested for the act.
I think that these next 3 weeks we're going to hear more about that. They need to get their story straight.
But that line of attack had little effect on last night's vote. More to the point, says political expert Andy Taggart, what effect might the outcome in Mississippi have on the November election and the battle for control of the Senate?
If Senator Cochran is nominated, I think Democrats probably will stay hands off of Mississippi. If State Senator McDaniel is nominated, I think all the Democrat money in America will be focused on Mississippi.
Cochran is hoping to avoid becoming the first incumbent U.S. Senator from Mississippi since 1942 to be defeated. If Chris McDaniel wins the runoff election on the 24th of June, the task for him will be to bring into his camp all of those Republicans who didn't vote for him and keep this seat firmly in Republican hands in November. Brett?
John Roberts live in Mississippi tonight. John, thank you. The California congressional candidate whose office was ransacked last week will be on the ballot in November. Republican Carl DeMaio, who is openly gay, came in second in yesterday's blanket primary. He will take on Democratic incumbent Scott Peters. Let's look at what happened last night in Iowa. Chief political correspondent Carl Cameron is live tonight in Des Moines. Good evening, Carl.
Hi, Brett. It's a heck of a contrast to what's still going on in Mississippi. No Tea Party versus establishment battle here, no Republican cannibalism, and no overtime either. Joni Ernst, the state senator, the Republican nominee now for the U.S. Senate, won yesterday going away. She needed to clear a 35% hurdle and got more than 50 in a field that included 4 rivals, and did so really by unifying the various different factions and coalitions in the Republican right. She is a woman. She's a veteran. She's a Sunday school teacher. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's an Iowan, and she is saying that she's better at running the government and more suited to really pursue true spectrum conservative principles than anybody like Democrat Bruce Braley. The Democrats see her as an opportunity to protect a seat that they don't want to give up to the Republicans. The GOP is targeting this as one of the 6 for the majority, and the battle between Braley and Ernst is already underway aggressively. There will be millions spent here, and the Republicans here in Iowa and across the country say it really is an example of what the GOP should be doing, looking for new candidates, conservatives who appeal to all sides of the Republican spectrum and avoid a lot of this internal infighting. A big contrast to what happens in Mississippi. And now we're halfway through the primaries here, Brett. Half of the state's House members and Senate members have been nominated. So far, only 1 Republican incumbent's been knocked off. And in the Senate, the Tea Party said this was their last best chance to knock off an incumbent, and it isn't over yet. Brett?
Carl Cameron in a familiar spot there on the river in Des Moines. Carl, thanks. Up next, why normally friendly big labor is pushing back hard against President Obama over his climate change policy. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates across the country are covering tonight. Fox 5 in New York on the Chiquita Banana Company's so far successful effort to block legislation that would allow 9/11 victims to sue companies that fund terrorists. Chiquita fears the wording of that bill could open it up to lawsuits over its past extortion payments to Colombian drug cartels. WSVN in Miami with how a very calm 14-year-old called police as a burglar invaded his house.
Just a window, but I don't know what he can do next. I heard like the door being pounded. I heard the knob trying to be turned.
The boy hid until police arrived and arrested the suspect. And this is a live look at Detroit from Fox 2. The big story there tonight, the Michigan legislature approving $195 million to help prevent steep cuts in Detroit's pensions. The deal aims to get retirees and city workers behind the city's bankruptcy recovery plan. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report.